Hey guys, quick announcement. I am now on Patreon, and so if you want access to a more personal side of me and this content, including insights, experiences, and stuff that I get up to that I don't really talk about in here, you can check that out. The link is in the description. Likewise, I offer coaching, and so if you want to personally level up or get out of your own way, I can be in your corner as you do that. If you're interested, again, the link is in the description. So, for today's video, guys, I wanted to share with you something that I've noticed, and that is that if you're retaining, sometimes you might actually feel less chill and less relaxed than you did before. You might feel a bit tense, you might feel a bit overwhelmed, but still, you probably want to hold on to your energy. You know, the chances are you like retaining, you like how it makes you feel, but maybe there's just a couple of moments where it's getting a little bit intense and you're looking for something to, take the edge off. So, how do you go about doing that? Well, what I have for you here today are a couple of things that you can try in this situation, and these are actually kind of unconventional things. And the reason I share these with you, as opposed to some more standard things, is because what I've found is that you might be doing everything you think you should be doing to transmute your sexual energy. You might be doing your meditation, you might be doing your yoga, your exercise, and your deep work, but still you might be struggling to relax and really be chill. Therefore, I did want to share with you some kind of alternative methods that you can try to let go, de-stress, and really kind of just mellow out a little bit as you retain. So the first thing I recommend, if you're feeling a little bit stuck on retention, is to laugh. Now your goal here is actually very specific. It is to shed all of your serious energy, right? It's to go beyond your ego and beyond any kind of heaviness that you're feeling. So ideally, you want to be like on the floor laughing, making weird and stupid faces. You want to be having some of that real proper laughter where you just don't care about anything, man, right? And nothing at all. Now, what's awesome about this is I find it really shakes up all of your energy. You know, what are we doing when we're laughing? We're expressing our energy. We're giving ourselves an outlet. And in my experience, when you laugh like this, you can go from a somewhat depressed state to a somewhat relieved state. Your energy may feel like it's been circulated a bit. You may feel a little bit like a little bit of a glow, not just in the lower body, but also in the chest and in the head as well. And what's even cooler than this is that when you laugh, it's almost like you temporarily return to your natural state. So if you laugh and you laugh really deeply, I don't know if you've seen this before, but you don't actually have any thoughts. You get this very brief lifting of your conceptual mind, and it feels amazing, right? Because for like just a second or two, you get a break from everything, okay? And when you come back like 4 or 5 seconds later, you feel quite relieved. You feel like this experience, it's disarmed your ego. It's relaxed the tension in your body. Now you probably feel quite a bit lighter, man. So this is going to be good for you if you're the kind of person that needs to take stuff less seriously. I myself am like this sometimes. Occasionally, I need to go and laugh my butt off like an idiot to, lighten up my energy, right? Another thing I want you guys to remember is that as physical as this stuff may seem sometimes, the true solution, it's always a raise in consciousness, okay? Which, believe it or not, laughter can help with. So I want you guys to actually start reframing how you see laughter. Because although it may seem like it's this human thing that we're doing, in reality, it's extremely spiritual. As mentioned earlier, you laughing is really you blissing out in your natural state. We just call it laughter because, through our human perception, we see a pretty limited picture of what's going on. So start to contemplate this and watch yourself when you laugh. Notice that in that moment, you actually feel most free from your ego. And notice that in that moment, you feel most connected to God. Isn't that pretty awesome, right? So, from just hearing this, you've got yourself now like this free spiritual technique that you can use for the rest of your life. And I actually recommend that you use it as much as possible. It's great fun. Now, the only downside to this one, guys, is that laughter is more of a short-term solution. It's not super easy to just bring on randomly. Now, I say that, but at the same time, if you retain, you would know that your life energy does make you a lot more joyful. It's way easier to express joy. So actually, the chances are you're going to have a lot more access to this laughter, and that is pretty cool. So the next thing I'd recommend is actually a bit of a weird one. It's actually to treat yourself. So treating yourself can mean you let yourself slack off just a little bit and you allow yourself to enjoy some of the pleasures of life. So what I've seen when I do this personally is I find that my self-development ego relaxes. My spiritual ego relaxes. The part of me that is always striving to, grow more, raise my consciousness, or become a better, stronger, wiser person really just chills the fuck out. Because I'm not thinking about self-actualization, guys. I'm thinking about this delicious ice cream or this wonderful date that I'm on, right? It's very nuanced, but this is not about indulgence or hedonism. It's about this one thing that I want to share with you, okay? When you retain, you're denying yourself something very powerful. Therefore, you're always practicing some form of background self-discipline. By virtue of the fact that you're abstaining from orgasm, and ideally sexual thoughts as well, you're always kind of switched on. And this means you've always got this self-discipline muscle engaged to an extent. As a result, at least in my experience, it can be nice to balance this with some worldly pleasures occasionally. Nothing over the top, of course, but here and there, if you're having a hard time, you may find that you relax a lot more if you reward yourself with a small treat. So again, me personally, guys, I actually have some of my best insights when I'm just relaxing and letting myself enjoy some nice things. You know why? Because I'm so damn chilled out. I'm so carefree. As a result, my mind becomes very calm. It's like any background noise or stress just drops away. Now, if I start contemplating in that moment, those sweet insights that we really want to have, they just come through pretty freely. Because again, I'm in a relaxed state. I'm not forcing anything. I'm not resisting anything. Now, of course, this method, it's not wise to do every single day. Me personally, I can only do this occasionally. And I can only really do it if I've worked for it, so if I've applied some self-discipline for the majority of that day or for the majority of the week. So to just make it extra clear, it's not about letting yourself slack off more than you should, okay? It's about very deliberately bringing about more relaxation so that you don't get all uptight and cranky as you retain. Now, it is good to know that it did take me a long time for relaxing like this and treating myself to go from more of like an unhealthy distraction behavior to a more mindful balancing behavior. But this happened because I shifted my state of consciousness. And I could then do that behavior from a healthier internal place, right? The higher your consciousness, the less you need that behavior in the first place. Therefore, when you do it, you're not attached to it, nor do you feel crappy or shameful afterwards. Rather, you are way more likely to do it and feel, easygoing and relaxed afterwards, right? And really, for us, that's the goal. Now, the only thing to watch out for here, guys, is your momentum and to not fall into a rut. Because for some of us, myself included, we use momentum to get a lot of stuff done, okay? And doing this method, like too much or at the wrong time, can put a halt to our momentum. It can mean that we fall into some pretty bad habits. So that's why you want to do this one very consciously and in moderation. If you know that sugar, alcohol, or sex is going to set you back, I would be very careful about doing those things, and I would maybe save them for the right time. So the final thing I recommend, guys, is pretty interesting. What I've found is that sometimes, even if you do everything you can to relax yourself on retention, the heightened energy and intensity sometimes just does not budge. And so if nothing else is working for you, if you've exhausted all of your options, and you have rigorously tried to transmute your sexual energy or relax yourself, then in my experience, I find it completely okay to have natural releases every now and then. So a natural release for me is releasing your energy with a partner or by yourself, but you're doing so without any kind of artificial stimulation. And ideally, in your mind, you're not thinking about like dirty stuff or lust. You're thinking about love or things that are romantically meaningful to you. So the reason I mention this, guys, is because, even though this would mean that technically you're not retaining, I do like to be really honest about the realities of retention, okay? And one of the realities, which I maybe don't emphasize enough, is that retention can be really hard, okay? And as annoying as that is to admit for us, sometimes the only way through our blockages, stress, and intense experience is to actually release our energy and reset. Now, this is where you need some real damn wisdom, because it's extra nuanced. First of all, this may not be the right thing for you at all. It may be that if you do this, you don't feel any benefits of clear-headedness, and instead you just feel worse. That's okay, man. It does vary, okay? Other times, it can be the case that you release, and afterwards, you feel like all the tension that you were carrying just drops away, and you're thrown back into balance, right? Awesome. And then other times, it can be like, man, that's literally all I needed. I just needed to reset myself, and now I'm back. I'm seeing things clearly again. So remember, as much as your ego may want you to plow through and retain forever, sometimes it's better off to release your energy mindfully and then reset yourself so that you can go back at it again from a more balanced place. If you do try and go too far without stopping, you may end up losing your perception. You may end up being enticed by things like PMO or casual sex. Now, of course, as we know, there's nothing inherently wrong with these things. As you guys know, I recommend you burn through your karma. You do what you need to do, man. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you will want to be pure. You will want to be high consciousness. So what you've got to do is you've got to watch yourself and see if your mind is starting to entertain these kind of desires that you don't actually want. Now, arguably, we always have these kind of these desires to a degree, but if they're getting really out of hand, that can be a signal that you need to maybe rebalance yourself. And it's not the end of the world, guys, if you do choose to release your energy. In fact, it can be a tactic that you use to remain level-headed and to not fall off the path into lust and pornography. And then one more thing I'll mention is that if you don't choose to release your energy whatsoever, what may happen is that your body will do it for you. So you will probably have a wet dream or a nocturnal emission. And as annoying as they can be, what you've got to do is you've got to accept them right away. Because what I've learned from them personally, from having them, is that you cannot change reality in that moment. You just have to accept the situation and then decide to stay conscious. Because really, that's all you can do. So now to start wrapping up, guys, I want to let you know that if you can, I really do recommend aiming for the long term with this stuff, right? Play the long game. Don't worry if you're still finding your personal balance. Don't worry if you're still releasing more than you want to. It's all good. What happens is you improve over time, okay? Especially if you get serious. So do that, decide to become serious, and it will just happen for you over time. Otherwise, if you've enjoyed this one and you'd like more, then, my friend, as always, please do subscribe.